And we're live. And we're live on everything. Good to go. All right. Hi everyone. Welcome to live Q&A. I'm Michael Dunham, founder of XMD Academy. Today we'll be talking with Adrian Martuneac.
Close enough.
Adrian is a freelance concept artist, character designer. We're going to be talking about how he became an artist and what you'll take away from his 10-week course on XMD Academy. If you want to, go to xmdacademy.com for more info on his course. I'll be posting everything in the chat. So, at XMD Academy, our courses are pretty much for anybody that's trying to break into the industry for their first job. Any art students, anyone looking to improve their skills in the industry that's already an industry professional, or anybody just doing it for a hobby. So we'll be taking questions in this live stream. And so welcome, Adrian.
Glad to be here.
Can you tell everyone how long you've worked as a concept artist, character designer?
Well, I'm 31 now, so I guess around 10 years, something like that. I started when I was around 21. First, it was just weird jobs on DeviantArt, just drawing just some really quick 2D concepts. Mm-hmm. But then I sort of panned over to 3D and did some more ZBrush stuff, and so on and so forth.
So what part of character design would you say that you like the most? What's your passion inside of character design?
I just really love thinking about characters. So for example, if a client presents me with a context like their world and their technology and all that, and they're like, hey, we need a character that fits this specific technology or race or whatever, and I got to think about how to do that and to accurately convey what they want to express with that character, visually speaking. Like if it's a tank or like a rogue character or something like that, they're different in terms of shape, design, and all that.
So you're basically coming up with a story in your head as to
why
the character exists.
Oh yeah, like a lot of times, depending on the constraints, right? You don't want a character who looks like he's made from 3 different factions, right? Like you need it to be it's designed to be like consistent in terms of all the shapes and all the things that he has on it. So yeah, but at the same time, it's really interesting to think about how to express exactly what the client wants with the constraints that he gives you. Like it's always a challenge for me. Mm-hmm. This is basically the job of designers. They're problem solvers.
So what how important would you say knowing the entire pipeline for creating a character to the point where you can test it out, as opposed to like if you just want to be a concept artist, you're just concepting?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important because, for example, in a company, in a working environment, you might have your technical 3D guy near you that's telling you, yeah, we can't really do that. You need to change that a little bit. You might have your animation guy being like, yeah, he needs to have like a smaller shoulder so that it's going to bend correctly and the mesh is not going to go into itself too much and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So if you learn the entire pipeline, you can play with it a lot. For example, even with the textures, if you know what the engine can do with the textures, you can actually propose some really cool things that are part of the character that might be important as a design factor. So let's say that your client wants a character to be like in a threat mode, in a threat assessment mode, and you can be like, hey, I know that I can change parts of the texture like this, so I'm going to design it with that in mind, right?
Hmm.
And then you can make characters that do crazy things, like their parts of their armor light up or something like that. So I think it's quite important. I think it brings a lot to to a character to be able to juggle with all of these different elements.
So you kind of touched base on this a little bit, but what are the first things you think about when you start working on a
Oh yeah, I did talk about this.
character?
So yeah, just the world that that character lives in, the style that he has to be made out of,
Hmm.
because every game has like a specific style, and yeah, just and also I'm trying to think usually about the easiest way to convey an idea
Hmm.
when I'm designing it. So like, what would be the easiest way to design this so that it expresses that, and then you go further, you go deeper with the details. But so like tanks, big shoulders, right? Bulky guy, whatever. That would be like one of the ideas,
Hmm.
stuff like that.
The so what was Unreal 4? Was it hard to learn when you first started out?
No, actually, it was a blast. It's so cool because that's why I love it so much, because I used to work with Unity, and there's a lot of getting under the hood and doing a lot of stuff in there in order to get like an average result or something like that. But
Hmm.
in Unreal, you open up those scenes, even those tutorial scenes, and bam, you have everything there.
Yeah.
And in the span of like 20 minutes, you can already turn lights on and off with triggers,
Hmm.
and make characters do crazy stuff and change materials just by looking at them and pressing a button or something like that. So it's really very interactive and very fun to learn. And even the programming, the blueprint system, if you have like just a basic fundamental knowledge of how programming works,
Hmm.
so like if you just play with a 20-minute Python tutorial or something like that, then you sort of get an idea of how you will arrange your nodes for visual programming inside Unreal. So you can quickly just cut and slice a bunch of codes in there together, make your character do some crazy stuff, and then you can just throw it at your C++ programmer and be like, make this efficient and
Hmm.
optimize it.
The so what was your first job as an artist in the game development world?
Well, first I was just doing some freelance illustrations ish and concepts for DeviantArt random offers.
Hmm.
But then my first sort of real job was as a 3D lead for a small gaming company from from my country, from like a mobile gaming company.
Awesome.
And that was pretty fun because I've been learning, like during my freelance stuff and my college stuff. I've been doing a lot of 3D tutorials and a lot of stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but basically I learned everything on my own because there wasn't really any school that was teaching that there.
Yeah.
But apparently it's more efficient to learn on your own because you just target the information that you want, and it's usually up to date, and
Hmm.
you can get faster results like that.
So what? So you go over 3D code in your course. Why did you choose 3D code over anything else that you could have chosen?
Well, I tested out Substance Painter and 3D Code, and basically I just took them all one by one. I even tried the Photoshop method, and even kind of ashamed to say it, but Mudbox, and
I think
they're all
everybody
pretty
tested
good.
Mudbox.
Yeah, they're all pretty good. The thing that I liked about 3D Code, and again, there's no program that is, better than the other one or something like that objectively. It's just a workflow that you find yourself more comfortable working with. The thing that I like about 3D Code is that you can actually use one mask for an entire hierarchy of layered materials, and you can also use multiple masks, and you can just imagine how crazy. So, for example, you could have um, I'm gonna get a little visual with gestures here. So you can have, for example, three materials here, right, and two masks here, right.
Yeah.
And for example, the second mask can actually control the material from here, right, which are they're layered in between these two materials that are controlled by this mask.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can do a lot of crazy stuff with this sort of workflow. That's why I like it. This is the main reason, actually.
So, on average, how long would you say it usually takes to complete a model from start to finish, concept all the way to? I know you go from concept, you go all the way to Unreal. As far as your personal pipeline, how long does it usually take you to go from concept to finish?
Usually, like an average would be around between 40 and 60 hours. But depending on the task, you can actually go even over 120 hours if it's a very complicated model. Or you can actually go even faster if you already have a lot of base meshes and a lot of things that you just need to throw in there so you can quickly put in a concept or something in an engine if you just want to test it out. If you're
Hmm.
prototyping, for example, or if you're doing game jams, especially for game jams. I've been in a couple of those, and yeah, that's pretty much the timeline with that.
Now, you have a course on XMD Academy, Becoming Unreal from Concept to Playable. Could you tell us a little bit about your course, what you go through, what your curriculum is?
So I'd have to pull up the curriculum because there's so many stages to that. But basically, we're gonna go from sketching from 2D to all the way to an in-engine game character
Hmm.
that you can control with WASD with space. So in the first few weeks, we're gonna design our character. We're gonna model it in ZBrush, and then we're gonna texture it in 3D code because that's just the example that I'm using. But you can use whatever you want.
Hmm.
But then we're gonna go to some rigging, skinning, after retopology, of course, and and then just some engine stuff, some Unreal Engine stuff. I'm going to teach you how to export it with the correct settings. I'm going to give you all the materials that you need. So the templates for the 2D mannequin, the template for the 3D mannequin that you can just sculpt on top of because that's what we're going to use. So when we drag and drop it into our Maya scene, that I'll also be giving, is just going to fit there perfectly. So you won't have to do a lot of weird stuff. Basically, I'm just giving you everything there. You just need to put your templates, use those things as templates and do your own character,
Hmm.
put them in. And we're going to go through skinning, rigging, like I said that, and some animation setup in Unreal Engine, and some material setup. And that's pretty much it. By the end of this course, you'll have your character running, crouching, jumping, um,
Yeah,
pretty
you
much.
you
That's it.
showed. We've had a couple demos, and people can check out the live webinar that we had previously on the YouTube channel. Um, the it also has it listed on your course. Who would you say that this course is for?
Um, Anyone really who's in the gaming industry, especially because you can get any stage of this course and learn how it's connected to any of the other stages. And I think that's a very very good knowledge base to have, especially when you're trying to get hired by a company and you can actually tell them that, hey, I know the entire pipeline,
Hmm.
right? But I specialize in this particular area. But I have done this entire pipeline, and that's definitely gonna give you a plus in front of the interviewer because most of the guys that go on interviews are like, hey, I know how to draw. and they're like, okay, what do you know how to draw? Um, lizards. Okay. How does this fit with our, Candy Crush
Hmm.
company? Or I don't know. But yeah, if you go through this course and you can do like a basic biped character, I think you can get hired in a lot of companies that even just use prototypes and other things
Hmm.
just for the start of their projects.
Now, how how long did it take you to have confidence in your own work?
After my first 20, 30 models of going through the entire process of this, probably because they just kept getting better. Like I remember I started a couple of years ago. I put a project, like a pack, on the marketplace.
Hmm.
It was called Enforcer Rig, and it kind of looked like hell. But I was really happy to update it this year with the knowledge that I've learned over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And I remember I was so proud of that. And when I looked at it, I was like, no, I gotta either completely delete that or change it and update it. So I decided to update it just to have everything in a certain quality standard. So yeah, it took a while, and it's really fun to experiment with all the nuances of this entire process. But yeah, so basically the knowledge that I'm giving you right now is the accumulation of those years of experimentation. um, yeah, I talk a lot about a lot of things that I learned and that took me a while to learn, actually.
Hmm. So,
So
what would you
yeah.
say? What is a day in the life of Adrian? What, like, as a freelance artist, like, how many hours of work do you put in? How often do you communicate with your customer? So just tell everyone, what's it like being you?
Oh God. Wow. Okay. Um, that's a good question. So most of the time, I'm just thinking about projects that I would like to do.
Hmm.
So you could probably say that I don't really have a life, but like I do have friends and I do go out from time to time. Okay, one second, please. Sorry about that. I have this neighborhood is full of crazy cats. Okay, so most of the time I think about projects that I want to work on. A lot of times I, I prefer to work on my personal projects rather than client work, but I always make sure to schedule those things, and I always make sure to reach my deadlines.
Hmm.
Sometimes being a freelancer is very cool because you can juggle a lot in your schedule, so you can program all your stuff depending on like the mood that you feel in, like the other things that are going on in your life. But the coolest part is that you can always just go and tell your clients, hey, you mind if you know I do this earlier or later, depending on your schedule with other clients, if you have multiple.
Hmm.
So you can just juggle around
So
with those up.
I know you do a lot of mechanical, a lot of robot looking stuff. What is your favorite style to work on? Is it mechanical robot or what you got?
I like those, yeah. um, I like them because you can do a lot of complex stuff with them.
Hmm.
But of course, you can do that with organic creatures and characters as well. I I really like organic creatures and characters, but I just sort of fell into this style, into this sci-fi,
Hmm.
cyberpunk, just robotic style, hard surface style, and I just sort of fell in love with it because there's just so much to explore. there's no limit in art. There's no upper level that you can reach, and you're like, okay, done. There's always just so much exploration,
Yeah.
and I like sci-fi stuff because it makes me think of the future and future technology, and I just daydream about that a lot.
So for future students, current students, anyone that would be taking your course, what knowledge would you want them to come away with from your course? Like just the main knowledge.
Think about the bigger picture always, because that's what's important. The result is what's important. You don't want to get stuck up on details, because then it's just I think I said before, a black hole of productivity.
Mm-hmm.
You're just gonna go round and round, and you're not gonna like what you're doing, and you're gonna redraw and everything like that. I have I have some friends that keep trying to make some finished portfolio pieces, and they never get to it because they get stuck up on details, and then
Mm-hmm.
they figure out that it takes too long to finish this, and then they get tired and they sort of get burnt out. So every project that you do, let's say that you do a character and you completely missed your mark with something, either in the design area or the technical area or whatever. Just be like, okay, I learned my mistakes. I'm gonna fix those things, or I'm gonna think about those things the next time that I'm gonna do a project, and just finish that project and move on. That's the best way. Just move on as fast as possible. Go through as many projects as possible, because that's how you're gonna learn, bit by bit. Every little information that you accumulate from those projects, that's gonna get you on the top. Because if you're like, okay, let me do a skull sculpt, and you completely mess it up, and you know you start to correct it.
Mm-hmm.
In a month you'd be correcting that skull for hours, for like hundreds of hours maybe, and you're just left with one skull. But if you're just doing it, if you're like, okay, it's wrong, but I'm just going to finish it, then the next day you're going to do it again and again and again and again. You're going to expose yourself to multiple problems, to multiple levels of problems, faster and easier. And then at the end of the month, you'll have, like, let's say 30 skulls, and you can see the progress if you look at them in a
Mm-hmm.
in a timeline. And that's actually also a very good confidence boost when you see that the progress is right there in your face.
Yeah, so you learn by repetition.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
continuously make problems for yourself so you can learn from them and continue to grow.
Exactly.
Now, your course on XMD Academy, we actually begin on Monday, which is tomorrow. It is a 10-week course. We have a week gap in there for anybody that's falling behind. They can catch up. Uh, and you can check it out, xmdacademy.com. We have a couple minutes left. Is there anything? Okay, so if there's anybody that's kind of on the cusp of signing up for your course, what would you tell them to get them on board?
Um, you're in for a hell of a ride. After this course, you're gonna feel like you can create something. You're gonna basically feel like a, let's say, demigod, right? Because you're gonna be able to create something from zero and have it working in a game engine. I think it's a great feeling. It
Yes,
definitely took me a lot of years to get to this point, and I think I would have never dreamt that I would be able to do what I do right now.
I've run through your course, and it is an amazing course. I'll tell anyone that. Just from your concept stage, going through that part, um, the techniques that you show in there, they're, I mean, it'll get you up and running really quick. You have a quick pipeline. It's very clean. and yeah, just going from concept to playable. I think anyone can benefit from this course if they are, just starting out or they're industry professional. They're going to learn some techniques from you that I haven't seen anywhere else. That I mean, Adrian has a good way of showing you how to get up and going quick, and his strategy from getting straight from concept all the way to playable. It's a trip. I mean, it really is. And so, anyone watching or interested in this course, you can go to xmdacademy.com and you can sign up for the Becoming Unreal from concept to playable. It's $4.97. So yeah, and you've got a bunch of Adrian's work in here that'll show you what's capable of doing. Oh, and one other thing, Adrian, while I have you here, um, can I know you have a lot of mechanical, you have a lot of sci-fi stuff. Does this
Yeah,
apply to organic? If somebody's doing
definitely.
characters.
Yeah, so the workflow that I show in this course is meant to work for both mechanical and organic because I'm literally just sculpting in a hard surface.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you could be sculpting something organic with no problem because it's the same workflow. There's the same tools.
Mm-hmm.
You can also use brushes from XMD.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You could definitely just make a character, just get my template and start putting on some brushes from XMD and you'll definitely get something interesting.
Well, thank you very much for coming on board, Adrian. And anybody that's watching, I definitely recommend this course. It is an amazing journey. And you got any parting words for any of our viewers here?
Yeah, just stay creative. Just, keep solving problems. And, keep your brain healthy.
Thanks again, Adrian, for coming. And
Thanks
we'll
for
see
having
you
me.
all. Just sign up on xmdacademy.com and hope to see you there. Thanks for coming.